Call to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Belsley.
Here.
Dobbs.
Yeah.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Here.
Hoffman.
Here.
Newhouse.
Here.
You have a quorum.
We have a pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no public hearings. We have no special presentations. Anybody in the audience like to make a comment? You're the entire audience. Would you like to say something? I know my wife doesn't want to.
No, she mentioned you're taking her out to eat after this.
Could I have a motion to that effect, please? Anybody want to pull something from the consent agenda? We have the approval of the minutes and our approval of bills. There being none, could I have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second. Any discussion? Call it.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobbs.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yeah. I have one item I wanted to go over. Just take a minute or two because I thought it would be important to the village. The first of the year, the controller at Dixon, Illinois, and Dixon, you know, is a city just about the same size as we are. I think just a couple of hundred people different. Turned out that she had managed to embezzle $53 million from a city the size of Morton, using fake invoices and secret accounts and so forth. So this happened just before I was sworn in, and the next thing I was to do was to meet with the auditors. And I met with the auditors and asked them, how can you audit a city like that repeatedly and not pick up something that huge? And they explained to me how a typical audit goes and so forth. And I asked that is there some way they can double check to make sure we're in really good shape? And they did apply some special procedures to make sure that nothing unusual was going on. I wanted to share this with the trustees because a couple of interesting things came out of that. One was our books are in absolutely perfect shape. And I think that's a wonderful testimony not only to Wendy and her team, but the people who've gone before her and the trustees who've kept an eye on things. So with all the fussing and fuming that's going on, it's nice to know that we're in apple pie order. And secondly, the audit would have normally cost something on the order of $57,000, but it came in about $6,000 higher than that. And I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that Wendy had actually controlled the costs very well. It was my insistence on this extra investigation that cost the extra $6,000. Another thing that came out of this was the auditor said that Wendy and her staff were so efficient that this software, that the special program they go through, would have cost about $9,000, but her team was so good they only billed us $6,000. So I thought all of those things were important, and I wanted to do a hats off to the administrator and her team, and again to all of you folks who were here long before I got here. So I thought it was worth mentioning. It kind of reminds me of what you were talking about when you got back from the meeting, that our city is special.
Yes.
Village clerk.
Do we need a
Excuse
motion
me.
to prove the?
I think it was in the bills, wasn't it?
It would be in tonight's bills.
It was the
Okay.
cost of the audit was
Okay.
in the. I'm sorry.
Okay. But
Yeah.
Your Honor, I think that it comes under the heading of what I call, a lot of people call forensic accounting. And I think there's some wisdom probably in doing this on a random basis every so many years. And it needs to be, for obvious reasons, it can only be implemented by one person. You don't want everybody to know you're doing it. But I think maybe, I don't know whether that's a more responsibility of the administrator or the mayor or how we get that done. But I think there's some, we have been vindicated against some allegations by folks that where there's some kind of skullduggery, and I know they'll be disappointed to find that there isn't any. But I think that is an extremely useful accounting tool and would benefit the community if we could come up with some kind of an arrangement by which it would be implemented at certain intervals and help protect us, not only, ascertain the job that's done by the people who went before us, but make sure that when we're all gone and there are people that have come after us, that this process is in place.
I would agree with that.
Any other comments? Village Administrator.
Two things tonight, Your Honor. The first is that I am asking for approval to transfer $525,000 from the general fund and $404,000 from the water and the wastewater depreciation fund to the capital projects fund. This is to fund various improvements, the capital improvements such as Cortland Avenue, the bulk water dispensing station that we're working on. Well, actually, it's the bus lot. So we're handling that, and then we're being reimbursed by the school. So that's what those are for.
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by,
Second.
second by Sam. Any discussion? Vote.
Dobb?
Yes.
Hare?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Kaufman?
Yes.
Newhouse?
Yes.
Belsley?
Yes.
The second item on my list tonight is the approval of property and casualty insurance for the current year 14, and I'm recommending that we go with the Cullen Company quote that we received. While this quote is a little bit higher than what we usually, or the IML quote is about 10.7% higher, there's quite a bit more coverage than we currently have. It is non-assessable, so where we were doing the min-max program under the Illinois Municipal League, this would be complete. We pay the premium, and that's all we pay. So we don't. It's probably less risk in that way. But this offers coverage for volunteers, auxiliary police, gas coverage, which our current policy does not offer. This is pretty big. We do have a gas policy with the GUA, which is the Gas Utility Alliance. This will be additional with that. Just talking with our superintendent of gas, the previous superintendent of gas, even talking with the mayor in his time with Aaron Silko, I think they all see that this is necessary because just one claim could be huge. We're lucky. We have, had great history in that department, and so has all the communities in the GUA. But this is a big one to have. They also offer an open door legal department. So if I can't get in touch with, say, Tom Davies, and we have a question about Open Meetings Act, we're going to have one. Does this qualify? Does this not? Or if there's a FOIA question, we seem to be turning and running into more and more FOIA requests. And that'll be nice. They're kind of they're there all the time. You know what I mean? So we'll be able to reach out to them if we can't get Tom or Mr. McGrath. So overall, I would recommend it. The total cost is $353,000, and that is my recommendation. Questions?
Any questions? Statements?
I would just like to point out that one of the other advantages of this particular going with the county organization is we have a local advocate for us, and if you want to maybe elaborate on that a little bit, Wendy, but rather than dealing with someone who's looking out just basically for the insurance company, we have someone looking out for the village.
Yes, we would. So our representative at Cullen Company is Dave Zern and Laura Andrews, and they will be working on our behalf. Sort of a similar situation that we have with the health insurance at this time, and that works really well because when we run into, I have to say the Illinois Municipal League has been very good to work with. But they're always watching out for themselves. So this is nice because he is working on our behalf. I do find it nice to have people local only because this is their town and they are watching out for it. They're keeping an eye out. Even, they're watching all of our workers, calling us on things if we aren't doing things properly, which is okay for me, or commending us when we do, but they kind of keep an eye on it too. So we're all kind of feel like a team, like we're in it together.
Is it not true also that this policy provides for higher limits on liability,
Yes, it does.
and which is, I think, in the current environment, probably merited.
Yes.
Just for the interest of the audience, this also covers the ability of the auxiliary police department to carry firearms.
Correct.
I'd move approval, Your Honor.
Second?
Did you get those? Any more discussion? Call it.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Chief of Police,
I'd just like to update you, Your Honor, and the board with kind of where we're at with assisting Washington and the police department over there. Yesterday, upon the tornado touchdown, we initially allocated 3 auxiliary officers and 4 regular officers from about 11:30 a.m. Till about 6 p.m. yesterday evening. After that, we had 2 two-man squads in Washington from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. We also supplied them with a temporary dispatch service for a couple of hours until they were able to get their communications back up yesterday. Today, we allocated 3 two-man squads from 7. That will run until 10 o'clock tonight. After 10 o'clock tonight, we're basically in an agreement with them to offer them 1 squad and 2 police officers until 7 o'clock Friday morning. I'm sure Thursday sometime we'll probably touch base with them again and see if that needs to continue any further than that, but that's our plan to assist them for now. So,
appreciate it. Any questions? Corporate Counsel,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Director of Fire and Emergency Services.
I kind of have a long story for you, too. So we just kind of update of where we're at. We initially responded to Edgewood Terrace, where there was, which is within the city, and there was 1 trailer there that was totally destroyed, and I believe 5 others that were damaged there, significantly damaged. So our own people were able to do initial search and rescue there. There was no injuries or anyone trapped in Morton or anything. Then we were almost immediately, in fact, while we were still there, called for a request from Washington Fire Department. We were able to respond with our rescue truck and 5 personnel, as well as an engine and 5 personnel, and both of those units did search and rescue operations initially throughout till late last night, actually it was. I went to their firehouse where we were able to set up a treatment and transport area and treated and transported about 35 to 40 people out of that area and brought in ambulances from as far away as the Quad Cities to do transports. Our 2 ambulances, we staffed our 3rd ambulance, and our 2 ambulances went over and assisted in that operation. All of those units came back then last night. And today I was asked to direct their operations so at the fire department level so that their guys could go home and get some rest. So that I've spent my day doing that. Tonight we'll have our aerial has been requested to be over there. They're working in task forces that have been put together with tankers because of a questionable. They have very limited water supply, and then fire trucks that respond out as needed, as well as ambulances that are available. So all of those have been put together from various communities. That operation will continue to operate like that throughout for as long as it's needed until Washington can kind of get back on their feet and handle their own operations. So we don't have plans for our department being there past tonight, but that may continue on into the next couple days, on and off, depending on what their needs are. And they're also pulling in departments from as far as, well, there was a technical rescue team there from Springfield today. Yesterday was from Bloomington and Peoria. So there's a very large area that they're pulling in departments so that there's no burden on any one single department overly. So I'd be happy to answer questions. I could go on for a long time, but
Any questions of Joe? I'll have to tell you, there's probably going to be a lot of people that we want to thank and honor when this is over, but I've heard more than one person tell me that Joe went over there and really stepped up and took over the EMS activity and really did a terrific job. And I don't, please don't, this is no indictment of the guys in Washington. I'm sure when their turn was, they were doing a great job too, but I just want to make sure people know that our guy went over there and really did a heck of a job.
Thanks. There was a lot to be done, and really everyone did a good job. It's a overwhelming task and to bring in. Today they brought in an incident management team from the state, and so they're working on kind of putting together some of that stuff. But they're getting through it. And I was able to speak yesterday with their mayor as well as their administrator and pledged on behalf of our village and this board that we were by their side and would do anything that we could do to help them out.
That's great. I think on behalf of the city, I'd like to thank Ameren too. I mean, people sit in the dark and complain, but they don't realize the guys are out there in the pitch black all night long trying to make things come back. The Ameren people, before they did anything else, they called all of our vital operations in town, Restmore and so forth, and made sure their generators were running. And then they came back late in the night, and I think they restored most of the power by about midnight. So hats off to the Ameren guys, too.
Surprisingly enough, I just left Washington, and the square on down through a good portion of Washington is back up with power. Of course, the severely damaged areas weren't, but just pretty. I'll just tell you a quick story to give you an idea of how what the impact was. There was areas that the manhole covers were sucked out of the holes, leaving empty holes in the roads. And at least 3 fire hydrants were literally taken off and broken off and into the street. So, I mean, you can imagine the power it takes to pick up a manhole cover and throw it. But it's devastating. So,
Any questions of Joe?
Good work.
thanks.
Director of Public Works?
I just had a couple items tonight. First one in your packets is the Public Works recap for the months of September and October. And then also, I just had an announcement this Wednesday, November 20th, from 5 to 7 p.m. here at Freedom Hall. There'll be a public meeting for the Detroit Avenue project. It's a requirement by IDOT, so any of the public's welcome to come here. Likewise, the board, or you, Mr. Mayor, to show up and ask questions. And Hanson will be here also to represent the village too. So that's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Planning and zoning.
Just one item tonight, Your Honor, regarding an agreement with Scannell Properties and the Village of Morton, and you have a copy of this. I laid in front of each of you. This agreement was put together by Attorney Tom Davies and the attorney representing the Monsanto developer. So they've come up with this, and it's a method they will be able to get a final certificate of occupancy, and it outlines exactly what's to be done by what date. The amount of money it's twice the amount of work to be finished. It's about $20,000 of exterior site work, grading, planting trees to be done, and they will be giving us $40,000. We will hold that money until the work is completed, and then that will be refunded to them. In the event that they don't fulfill that obligation, then we will take them whatever expense we need out of the $40,000 they've given us and have the work completed. We don't think that's probably going to be the case here. They've been pretty straightforward with us and their dealings. And I'd also mention that in working through this, and I'm not trying to put words in Tom Davies' mouth because he's not even here to defend himself, but it sounds like he thinks that there'd be some merit possibly in our ordinance kind of adopting something like this. It currently is, on a building project like that, we would collect a $1,000 deposit and itemize what things need to be done and arrive at that date that they would need to be completed by. And then as long as they've satisfied that, then we would I'd put in a check request, and Wendy's staff would then get them a check back for their deposit. He thinks that this is maybe a better option for us, so we may be at some point looking to adopt some portion of this in our own code, and Trustee Newhouse may have a comment or two to make about that.
Thank you. This is a little unusual. I don't think we've ever had a situation like this in the past, but they do occur from time to time. And this is a case where, for reasons related to weather and other obstacles, the Scannell people, the builder, was not able to meet the requirement for the occupancy permit. Typically, we grant a temporary occupancy permit, and then subsequently, Mr. Spangler issues a permanent occupancy permit, and that solves the problem. After review by Director of Public Works, Mr. Spangler, the attorney, and me, we believe this is probably a good solution. It does not involve any life safety issues, and it does not involve any liabilities that would be problematic if this extended into the spring. They're simply things that need to be completed, and they need not prevent the current occupancy of the building. So we favor approval of the agreement. We also believe that it would be valuable for village attorney to look at an ordinance or create an ordinance by which this could be an option, an alternate, which would be used in sort of emergency situations, would not necessarily be automatic, would probably require approval, but would give us a tool so that when we have a company or a residential situation where somebody cannot be in compliance for some reason, we've got a way of allowing them to continue and occupy the building without being kicked out. Obviously, if we're a life safety issue or something like that, then that would prohibit this kind of an agreement. But I think on that basis, we'd like to proceed. And the only question I guess I have, and I ask Mr. McGrath, this was not in the packet, it's been handed out to the trustees. I'm prepared to act on it tonight, but I'll make sure we are on firm ground and can proceed.
Act on the agreement, I believe you can go ahead and act on it. It was on your agenda. And if any board member has any objection, they can certainly express that, but you have the agreement in front of you, so I have no concerns about proceeding ahead.
Have I accurately summarized, Mr. Loudermilk and Mr. Spangler? Okay. So with that, Your Honor, I move to approve.
Second by Jeff. Any further discussion? Call it.
Herman.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dodd.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
Village trustees, Trustee Belsley.
Just a brief comment or two. Wanted to follow up on Chief Kelly's comments. Edgewood Terrace suffered some damage. Also, nearby that property, the police department's target range is located as well, and that did have some extensive damage done to that as well, and that's being cleared, and I think in the days ahead, of course, the police department will be further assessing that, determining what course of action to take there for making the improvements there. But all said, that pales in comparison, of course, to what happened to our friends and neighbors in Pekin and Washington. I appreciate the support that our staff provided those other communities, but I know we'd all agree that if the tables were turned, we could expect the same from them as well. They continue to be in our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you. Trustee Dobb.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Hare.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Herman.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Kaufman.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Newhouse.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, folks.